Welcome back. Yes, it has been a really long break, but Teachy Peachy is finally back. And today, we're jumping right into something massive. We are decoding the draft CERC GNA Fourth Amendment regulations for 2026. Now, right off the bat, this isn't a final regulation just yet. Instead, think of it as a proposed update to how India's absolutely massive interstate electricity grid can be accessed by renewable generators, storage projects, and large consumers. Because we are dealing with some seriously dense regulatory frameworks today, here's our game plan to get through it all. We'll start with a quick welcome to the grid, look at the solar hour split, discuss some real-world roadblocks, decode the Fourth Amendment itself, explore shared grids, and finally, break down the market impact. All right, part one, welcome to the grid, the highway pass. First things first, what exactly is GNA? Well, General Network Access is basically your permission slip. Think of it like an all-access toll pass to India's interstate transmission highway. It dictates exactly how much capacity a project can use, when it can actually connect, and how power will be scheduled as it travels through the national grid. Moving right along to part two, the solar hour split, time sharing the grid. To really understand this new draft, we have to rewind a bit and look back at the Third Amendment, because that's what introduced a super important split. Basically, solar hour access mainly uses the grid during the day, while non-solar hour access allows you to use that exact same transmission capacity in the evening, night, or any non-solar period. The idea here is brilliantly simple, right? Just use the same transmission capacity way more efficiently across the entire 24-hour day. Which brings us to part three, roadblocks and practical issues, developer friction in the real world. So the Third Amendment was great in theory, but out in the wild, developers quickly hit some major real-world roadblocks. We're talking serious friction here. There were massive concerns around incredibly strict timelines for converting access. Battery charging from the grid was literally being halted because of pending drawal studies. On top of that, extra technical compliance equipment was being miscounted as capacity, and there were these really rigid restrictions limiting projects to just one land parcel or source change. Looking at CERC's related implementation orders, it became incredibly clear the market was practically begging for more workable rules, not just more red tape. So, how do we fix all that? Let's get into part four, decoding the Fourth Amendment, the proposed solutions. The first big draft proposal offers a really clean 2-year delay exit option. Basically, if a project's final connectivity start date ends up being delayed 2 years or more from its likely start date, the developer can just withdraw. And the best part, they can seek the return of their con-VGs and land-VGs, subject to certain conditions. The second major proposal is a strict new storage rule. Energy storage systems must have a discharge capacity equal to twice their connectivity quantum. To put that into perspective, if you have 100 megawatts of connectivity, you're going to need at least 200 megawatt hours of storage. The third proposal is all about flexibility for non-solar hour access. Now, more entities can seek only non-solar hour access instead of paying for full-day access. This is a total game changer for wind and battery projects, allowing them to swoop in and use spare grid capacity when solar just isn't generating. And then we have the fourth proposal, which introduces a very specific number, 50,000 rupees. That is a fee of 50,000 rupees per megawatt to the extent of a second source change. This gives projects a paid pathway to pivot if their land, PPA, financing, or technology conditions unexpectedly shift mid-development. It's an adaptation mechanism for sure.
Okay, on to part five, shared grids and co-location, easing the accounting.
Now, when you have multiple entities sharing a grid, things get messy fast. The draft procedure really aims to make accounting for all these co-located generators, storage projects, discoms, and bulk consumers much, much easier. But, and this is a big but, this is definitely not automatic access. It remains entirely subject to strict consent, technical feasibility, precise metering, scheduling, and of course, applicable charges. Let's wrap things up with part 6, market impact and takeaways, or the so what. Panning out from all this dense legal text to the actual market reality, what's the real impact here? Well, renewable developers are looking at way more flexibility and lower execution risks. Storage projects get significantly stronger policy support. At the same time, weaker or speculative projects are actively getting filtered out. This gives investors much better clarity, helps transmission planners utilize the ISTS capacity better, and gives bulk consumers and discoms more structured access options. It's honestly a win on multiple fronts. So, if you remember nothing else, here are the 3 simple takeaways. 1. The draft drastically increases flexibility for genuine projects. 2. It forces storage to become a more serious and grid-useful asset. And 3. It heavily pushes India toward much better utilization of its transmission capacity. This isn't just some boring legal update. It's a very clear signal that grid access in India is officially becoming more flexible, heavily disciplined, and strictly market-linked. So, as India's power highway becomes smarter and vastly more competitive, I'll leave you with this thought. As grid access becomes heavily market-linked, is your energy project agile enough to actually navigate this newly updated power highway? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It is great to be back, and I'll catch you in the next one.